Let's get cooking with Care Team Plus, where flavor meets health. I'm Chef Karla, and today we are making an awesome, simple, spring-inspired dinner. We are going to make crispy fish tacos, a street corn salad, and oat crumble peach streusel. So good. Let's get started. We're going to do things backwards today. We're going to start with desserts. We're going to do our peach streusel first. So it's peach season. We're just like knocking on the door. I think it really starts like end of May, goes through mid-July. And so you're going to see an abundance of delicious, juicy peaches. This is the best season to make this recipe. It can't be unfortunately substituted with frozen peaches. So the real, local, fresh peaches is where it's at. All right, so what we're going to do, I'm going to take a peach here and then rotate my knife through and remove and just spin it and hopefully, yes, and be able to twist so that pit just comes right out for the most part. If it's nice and juicy and tender, it should pop out. Sometimes the peaches can just be a little sassy and they might need some assistance. So what we could do, I have a little bit of this pit here that I'm just gonna use my spoon and assist it out so that I don't tear up the rest of this yummy peach. I had this dessert many years ago at an Italian restaurant and it was so good. I had to just take the idea and run with it. And so that's how I created this recipe. It's just the perfect recipe to celebrate this time of year with these perfect peaches. Oh, this one, the pit kind of split in half. So same, I'm going to just use my spoon and get it out of there. This recipe is so simple too because we're really just highlighting the peach. So I'm telling you guys, you really just can't beat it. It's such a fun, delicious, crowd-pleasing recipe. And so when it comes to dessert, let's talk about this, right? Because we're making healthy recipes and we want to make sure that I'm a big advocate of everything in moderation. If my dad were here, he would say including moderation. However, he's not the health expert, but when it comes to dessert, I try to I'm not a huge fan of substituting sugar for other sugar substitutes. I think there's a time and a place. It does take a little bit more experimenting. So in this particular recipe, we'll be using brown sugar as a sweetener. And then also trying to choose if it still is satisfying to you, choosing a fruit-based dessert is going to offer you a little bit more micronutrients, maybe a little bit more fiber for your dessert. If that isn't a satisfying dessert to you, then I would still say go for your brownie or whatever it is. And the goal is to have portion control here. That's the thing with sugar is it can become addictive. And once you pop, you can't stop. So find a good rhythm where you can still enjoy your desserts, but not overconsume them. If you're an all or nothing kind of person, I understand that as well, where there's that thought process of if you have some, it's like all of it. If you don't have any, it's easier to just close the door to it. So kind of find your rhythm. One thing that you could do, like if you do make a big pan of brownies or cookies, is you can freeze, so let's just say it's a pound of brownies. Make the brownies all the way through. Once they've cooled, cut them into this perfect portions, into nice squares, and then take out one or two and leave those out for the next few days. And then individually freeze the rest of those brownies. And then give maybe the other half to your friends or some family members that are around. So that way they're not in the house all the time. So it's, you'll find your groove and you know yourself best. So set yourself up for success. And when we do make desserts, we try to just use nutrient-dense ingredients or at least higher quality ingredients that will help. But portion control is the biggest thing here. Okay, so with our peaches, I've halved them. I removed the pits. Get this out of the way. I just have a little pan here. I put some parchment paper on it. Pop my peaches in there. And then I'm going to take some raspberry preserves or jam. And we're gonna take about, a tablespoon or so, and we're filling where the pit was. Isn't that so delicious? It's so simple and so good. Then after this, we're going to make that streusel topping, like an oat crumble streusel topping. Pop it on top of here, put it in the oven. Woo! You guys, how many times can I say it? I can't say it anymore, but it is delicious. You're gonna love it. And it comes together so simply. It's one of those dishes that you can kind of throw together pretty last minute if you have to go to a party, or if you're hosting people, or if you just have a sweet tooth, because jam and then the other dry ingredients you probably already have in your house. So that's a huge win. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at with my peaches. I've just, where the pit was, removed that, filled it with jam. We're only upgrading this peach. Okay, so I'm gonna set this to the side for a moment, and we're going to make our oat crumble topping. Okay, so in this bowl over here, I went ahead and I melted our butter down. Also, I meant to mention, you guys, I'm only using 2 peaches. The recipe calls for 4. So just so you can kind of see visually what's happening, I am just going ahead and making the full batch of the streusel topping, just so that you can visually, again, see the amount that it makes. A great option, again, when it comes to these healthier desserts, is make, like, if this sounds really good to you and maybe it's just 2 people eating, maybe only make 1 or 2 peaches, and then you can freeze or you can refrigerate the rest of the streusel topping once it's combined, and then you can make more when you are ready for another serving. So that way it's not haunting you in your refrigerator or once you've baked it where you're eating multiple. It's a good way to keep it portion control. I know from experience. I love good desserts. Okay, so what we're going to do, oh goodness, excuse me. We're going to do 1/3 cup of brown sugar. Then we need, lid on here, we need 2/3 of a flour. So this is just an all-purpose flour, 2/3. Awesome. Then 1/2 cup of oats, old-fashioned oats. So the old-fashioned oats, I love the texture they provide. They give just a nice little, a little bit more feedback to it, if you will, but they also add a little bit of fiber and a little bit of protein. We're not eating this dessert for fiber and protein, but it doesn't hurt to add a little bit of nutrition where we can. Then we need a little bit of ground cinnamon. There we go. That's good. The container is almost empty, just use a little bit. Cinnamon is delicious. And then we'll use a little bit of salt. So salt in dessert recipes, the role that it plays is really just to enhance the flavor of what is already happening. So it shouldn't taste salty, but it should just kind of elevate what we have happening. Then I'll take a fork and then just mix this all up. And it will kind of pull together like a cookie dough. Yeah, check that out. That looks great. Beautiful. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take our peach halves, and then we'll take a scoop of our streusel topping. I'm just going to use my hands and kind of press it on top of that peach. And repeat. Great. Do a little bit more on this guy. All right. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pop this in the oven. I have my oven preheated to 375. We're going to bake it for about 15 minutes. I want the peaches to kind of just roast a little bit, soften up. The jam might kind of ooze out. The streusel is gonna become firm and a nice caramelization color. It's gonna be amazing. I also meant to tell you guys, I have it down, for all 8 servings, it is $3.78 to make this full recipe. Jackpot for a delicious seasonal dessert. All right, let's pop this in the oven. All right, so we will let that baked peach streusel cook in the oven for about 12 to 14 minutes. It's at 375. We're going to let it do its thing. And while that's cooking, let's move along. All right, let's go ahead and start our crispy fish tacos. So what I have here is some fresh or some frozen cod. You can use any seafood for the most part in this recipe, whatever you think would be delicious as a fish taco. So anything locally that you can catch would be awesome. Again, cod is going to be great. You could use a snapper, a grouper, really any like white fish would be fantastic. Shrimp would also work. Just really any fish taco, any fish for your fish taco will really work fantastic. So whatever you have in your freezer would be fantastic. So I do want to talk about using a frozen fish. It's a great way to keep things in your budget. I do want to talk about though how to make it a higher quality, or how to make sure it tastes high quality, which frozen seafood is actually a fantastic option because it is frozen at its most fresh point. So right when it comes off the boat, they prep it and they freeze it, which is amazing, as opposed to sometimes if it goes to the seafood monger, it can be kind of sitting out in the refrigerator for multiple days, and it starts to age faster. So having a frozen option is great. It's just as great as having it fresh. How you thaw it properly to make sure it doesn't have that waterlogged taste and texture. So usually when you buy frozen fish, it'll come in that cryovac bag where it's like that sealed plastic. What you want to do when you are ready to make these fish tacos or prepare any fish is remove it from that plastic bag, set it on a plate with a paper towel, and just set it in the refrigerator, cover it with plastic wrap, and let it thaw overnight. What we want is that water to drop from that fish so that it's not just sitting in water. Because if you just remove that plastic bag and put it in your refrigerator, which is so convenient, it will waterlog the fish and it definitely affects the texture. So letting it thaw overnight, letting that water, any of that moisture fall from it is going to be really helpful. Then just make sure you pat it a good bit before you cook it, squeeze out any excess moisture, and go along as though we have fresh fish. It's a fantastic, simple option that is also cost effective. Speaking of cost, I put together for 4 servings of these fish tacos is about $18 total, which is a little bit hefty. However, if you can, opting for that frozen fish, you could also just substitute chicken instead, just raw chicken. You can make it crispy as well. So that's a really great alternative as well if you need to keep it even more budget friendly. So to make these nice and crispy fish tacos, let me grab a plate out. We first need to go ahead and bread them. So what I have here is cornmeal. I have a pound of fish, and we're going to go ahead and season it up. So I need about a half a tablespoon of chili powder. I like to carefully measure it. When it comes to these types of seasonings, you can really just put a little bit of here, a little bit there. And if you're new to cooking, of course, feel free to actually measure. When you're new to it, it is just a little overwhelming. So once you get the hang of things, you can kind of just toss things in there. So that's cumin. Then we're also going to do some salt. And ground black pepper. Okay, then before I start breading these, I'm going to go ahead and preheat my pan so that it's nice and warm and ready. Once my fish is ready, I'm going to keep my eye on the heat, but I put it on medium hot, or about medium for now. It's at about a 7, so that's medium high. Then what we're going to do is stir this mixture. Just make sure everything's incorporated. So crispy fish tacos, usually, you know, to get that crispy texture, we're going to be would be a deep fry, right? But we're making things a little bit healthier here. So the big step that we're doing to make it healthier is we're going to actually just pan fry it. So like I don't even know that I would call it pan fry, more of a sear. So we're going to still bread it, and we're going to use less oil. We're going to use a healthy oil. I have ghee that we're using in the recipe. It calls for avocado oil. Butter would also be okay. An extra virgin, or an olive oil would be great. An extra virgin olive oil would be not great for that high of a heat. So more of that refined olive oil would be great. Coconut oil would also work. Okay, so what I'm going to do, and so sorry, let me finish that thought. So we're doing a little bit less oil. We're opting for a healthier oil. And those two things are going to make this recipe much healthier than just a deep fried fish taco that you might find out at a restaurant. So I'm going to just make a little bit of a assembly line here. If you kind of keep one hand clean, that should work. And then we can kind of dust off. And since this is just a dry rub on it, really, it's a very thin, crispy crust on there, and your hand won't end up as battered as opposed to like if you're dipping it in like the eggs and then to the cornmeal. I do like to keep one hand out though, so like if I need to grab something, it's clean. Like I said, really any fish would work great with these fish tacos and with this breading. Even chicken would work, chicken breast, chicken thigh. Some really great options. We make some type of taco in our family pretty often, and so I like to just share a different idea, like a different spin on it, as opposed to like maybe just a go-to ground beef or a skirt steak. This is just something different. It's always fun to add a new recipe to your repertoire, especially if your family likes it, and bonus points if it's easy to make. And if it's healthy, that's like triple bonus points. Okay, this looks great. So all of our fish is breaded. I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands, and then we'll go ahead and start searing the fish. All right, my hands are good and washed. Our fish is nicely breaded. Our pan is currently preheating. I think it's ready. I can kind of feel that heat coming off of it. So I am using ghee. It's a clarified butter, so the milk solids have been removed. It's a great option. It has kind of a little bit more of a nuttier flavor than butter because it's slightly more concentrated, but it also has a higher smoke point because the milk solids have been removed. So it makes for a really great searing oil. Like I said, you could use coconut oil or avocado oil or butter. All would be really great options. So let's go ahead and pop some oil in our pan. And we just want that oil, we want to make sure it's nice and warm, that's melting. And once we've done that, when we add the fish, I want to hear that a really nice sear. Beautiful, that's what we're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and add the fish to the pan. So once I add the fish to the pan, I want to just let this fish sear. So it's going to be about 3 to 5 minutes per side. They are just kind of cutting those almost like chicken nuggets or fish stick kind of length. But about 3 to 5 minutes per side. We're going to do 2 sides. And I want it to sit and sear. So if I'm constantly standing over it and messing with it and moving it around, that awesome, delicious, flavorful cornmeal coating that we put on it is going to kind of fall off. It could slightly burn, and then also the fish will likely stick to the pan, all of which is a huge bummer. So trust me when I say, have no fear, let it sear. I know it's cheesy, but seriously, it works for all of your proteins. Just leave them be, wait a few minutes, and then it should pop themselves. It should pop right off of that pan. Our seafood is looking really great. The fish has been searing for about 4 or maybe 5 minutes, but let me talk to you about how I know it's ready. So when the fish has been cooking for a while, that protein will coagulate, so it pulls itself off the pan. You'll be able to see the bottom of the fish, kind of some white happening here, and that's the proteins coagulating / cooking, and they're pulling themselves off the pan. So let's give it a try. It's cooking perfectly. So just allowing it to sear, making sure we added just enough butter or that ghee is perfect. And notice I also used a fish spatula. This is optional because it really came off quite like even better than I had expected. The fish spatula is awesome because it's nice and firm because it's that steel, but it does have it is flexible to get under a delicate piece of fish. So it's really good if I'm ever searing scallops and I want that great caramelization. So a fish spatula, available at Walmart, Target, Amazon. They're maybe like $3 or $4 and they are super helpful. In this recipe, I truly could have just used tongs and they would have popped themselves right off, which is awesome. Again, it's been about 4 or 5 minutes or so after we flipped the fish. Let's check on it now. It looks so great. Beautiful. Oh, that's good. This side is stuck a little bit more, so my fish spatula has come in handy. All right, check it out. Look at how nice and crisp that is. That really great caramelization. That's going to be so good. I'm going to set it aside as we put together our street corn salad. Our fish for our crispy fish tacos looks amazing. I've just set it to the side so that we can go ahead and assemble our street corn salad. I want to go ahead and start this, and first off say that for all 8 servings, a full recipe of the street corn salad is $5.40, which is again amazing. I found that cooking with more seasonal foods is actually much more affordable, great for the budget, because you'll find that it's usually on sale. Anything that's on sale, you'll find that it's likely seasonal. So not only is it great for the budget, but it's also good for you because they're higher in nutrition. The produce is higher in nutrition when it's in season. So for the street corn salad, I love it so much. You know, we've seen street corn before where it has kind of like a cream on it, maybe some feta, some chili powder. It's so good, some fresh cilantro. I thought, let's go ahead and disassemble that. Add a little bit more vegetables and call it a salad. So for today, I wanted to top our tacos with that street corn salad, but it's also really great on its own. You can take it, it's really good for cookouts, and it's so simple to put together. Let's get it started. So I do already have an onion. I chopped it up already. I had it prepped in my refrigerator, so I thought I would use it for this. I love doing that. If I need an onion or half an onion for a recipe, I cut the full onion and then save the rest in the refrigerator for another recipe so that if I leave the other half assembled in the refrigerator, I'll never use it. I'm totally guilty of like, I just don't need onion today then. But if it's pre-cut, then I'm using it. So maybe that tip might work for you guys. So we're going to do 6 ears of corn. I'm just going to remove them from the cob. And what I like to do is just take my knife and square off the corn. So with this recipe, you can use the corn raw, just like this, or you can also pop it on the grill, preheat your grill to about medium-high heat, and pop the whole head or the whole ear of corn onto your grill, and just let it kind of pop and get a little bit of char. So good. For indoor, for really keeping it simple, again, you can do it just raw on its own, just like this as we're assembling it. Or what I'm gonna do, I'll pop it in a saute pan and kind of just let the onion and the corn just kind of char a little bit, just to get a little bit of the flavor action happening. And it really brightens that corn. Like a little bit of heat will make it nice, bright and yellow and enhance the flavor a little bit. I went ahead and cut up all of my 6 ears of corn. I'm going to go ahead and preheat my pan and get this corn popping. Again, I'm going to go ahead and use just a little bit of the ghee that we used to sear our fish in. Again, you could use the avocado oil. You could use extra virgin olive oil in this because it doesn't get as hot. Or coconut oil works as well. So I preheated my pan to about medium heat, medium high. And again, I'm going to then add the oil or any fat source. Then we'll allow for that just to really melt down, the whole pan to warm up. I want it to be, the oil to be warm, the pan to be warm, so that when I add that corn and the onions, that it makes that again, I really want a great sear on this corn, a little bit of char. It's worth the wait, it's worth that little extra step. All right, let's check on our baked peaches. Oh my goodness. Woo, you guys, check these out. They're gorgeous. The jam is like oozing out. Oh, looks so great. Let me take it out so you guys can fully see it. I do like to say that these perform best with a scoop of vanilla ice cream on it. They're nice and warm. Pop some vanilla ice cream on there. It'll melt down. It gets so good. But the peach is nice and soft. The streusel topping's got a little caramelization. A little bit of the jam is, again, caramelizing and oozing out of the peach. I can't wait for you to try it. Okay, back to our sweet corn salad. All right, our pan is nice and warm. Let's go ahead and add our corn. Okay, the same rule applies that we did with our fish. We're going to let this corn sear. Let it sit in the pan. If I'm constantly stirring it, what's happening is it's releasing that moisture that's naturally occurring in it because of the heat, becoming steam. It will end up steaming the corn, making no char action, no caramelization, and it'll just be steamed corn, which isn't terrible, but we want next level. Just that simple trick will really elevate your meal. While the corn is going ahead and sauteing, let's go ahead and chop up the rest of our vegetables for the salad. So we have the red bell pepper reminds me, I grabbed red bell pepper instead of tomato at the grocery store, so we are gonna do red bell pepper instead. Tomatoes, great. Bell peppers, a great option too. I just think I went with it and seized the moment because it's a really great opportunity to remind you that you don't have to have everything in your refrigerator and follow the recipe to the T. You can kind of do what works for you, do what you already have in the refrigerator, buy what's on sale. So kind of find your own groove and find your confidence in the kitchen. Okay, so for our bell pepper, let's go ahead and just dice it up. The recipe calls for 1 cup of tomato. I've got this whole bell pepper here. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to use the whole thing and pop it in. Because if I don't, I'm probably not going to use it. So it's a really great way to make sure I don't have that food waste. All right, next we have a jalapeno. So with jalapeno, if you love some heat, what you can do is actually roll the jalapeno, and those seeds will release a good bit of a little spiciness. That's where a lot of the heat will be in the seeds. If you are not a huge fan of spice, but you like a little bit of warmth, if you will, then don't roll the jalapeno, and you'll actually find that it just has a nice jalapeno flavor, and it shouldn't have a lot of heat to it. Next, we have some fresh cilantro. I need about 1/4 of a cup of fresh cilantro, so I'll use about half of this bunch. I like to remove a good bit of the leaves from the stems, but it doesn't have to be perfect. There's a little bit of stem chopped up in there. That's totally fine. I can smell the corn. It smells really good, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat off. We'll set it to the side and then add it to the salad when it's go time. I love it because it's going to have a mixture of the warm corn, the cold vegetables. There's feta cheese in this recipe too, so it will kind of melt down the cheese if it's warm. It's a nice vibe. It also is great cold. If you just keep the corn raw, you could do that and serve it cold. Or if you go ahead and just cook your corn like we are now and then let it cool, or just have it as leftovers, it is truly also delicious. All right, with the cilantro, like I said, I'm pulling all the leaves off of the stems for the most part. I'm going to throw these stems away. And then when I'm cutting fresh herbs, what I want to do is create a nice, one more stem. I create a nice tight pile, bundle it all together, and then run my knife through it. Then I'll kind of continue to keep that pile nice and tight, and then rock my knife through it by keeping the palm of my hand on the tip of the knife. And this is the mincing method. So you'll see this for chopping any fresh herb, garlic, when you're mincing garlic or mincing ginger. But just continue to keep this pile nice and tight, and it will be a little bit more efficient. Great. All right, let's go ahead and drop that in the bowl. I'll go ahead and rinse my hands off. All right, not our last ingredient, but our last produce is going to be some limes. We need about 3 tablespoons of lime juice. It's hard to say. One lime will be anywhere between like 2 to 3 tablespoons, so I probably do only need this one. So I'll go ahead and, ooh, that was a juicy one. This will be plenty. This is just a super helpful little gadget. You could also just do a good hand squeeze and it'll get the job done. Great, we'll go ahead and add our corn and our red onion. Then we're going to add the rest of our seasonings. Oh my gosh, this looks so great. It's like, to me, whenever I see salads like this, it reminds me of confetti, which is so cheesy, but it's just so pretty and fun. So we need, let's see, salt and pepper. ground black pepper. Some cumin, so we need, actually no cumin, I apologize. We'll do some chili powder. We need a tablespoon of chili powder. Awesome. Just adds like a little bit of that smokiness. And then we'll do about 1/4 cup of feta cheese. And then combine it, and look how pretty that is. It's the red bell pepper mixed with the yellow corn, you know, the cilantro, the chili powder's popping through, that bright white feta. Awesome. Let's go ahead and assemble these tacos. So what I like to do with the tortilla, I am actually using a flour tortilla today. You could use a corn tortilla. I like to just take the tortillas, pop them on a plate, cover them with a damp paper towel, and pop them in the microwave for about 30 seconds. It steams the tortillas, it keeps them nice and pliable and warms them. Another option, of course, is just sauteing them in a saute pan and just getting with no oil in it and just warming them that way. So here I have, I'll build one taco. Our beautiful fish. Topped with our street corn salad. You could put like a few slices of avocado on here or some guacamole. Even some shredded lettuce would be really great, but check this out. It looks so good. So many different colors in there and flavors. It's bright and fresh and seasonal. That is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I truly hope that you were hopefully inspired or entertained and maybe you learned something. If you haven't already, make sure that you are following Care Team Plus's Facebook page and go ahead and turn your notifications on to make sure that you are updated whenever we post new videos or have our lives. If you love this video or the recipes, please share this with your friends and family and spread the love. Also, you'll find all of the recipes in our comment box. Have an awesome day. Thank you guys for watching.